UFC 328, taking place in Newark, New Jersey, is happening this weekend. The main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland, and the co-main event, Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. I'm really excited, and today I'm going to give my predictions on each and every fight on the card. So let's get down to the first fight of the night. The opener is Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. And both of these fighters are coming off of a loss. I'd argue that Clayton Carpenter is coming off of a more humiliating loss. Clayton Carpenter just lost to Tagir Ulanbekov at UFC 311, I believe. I could be mistaken. But Jose Ochoa is coming off a decision loss. And I think Jose Ochoa is going to get it done. I think Jose Ochoa has the stopping power at flyweight that not many people have. I believe he's a nightmare matchup for Clayton Carpenter. He's short, he's stocky, he's athletic, he can stop the takedowns. I think if he gets along the fence, he can frame off, keep Carpenter off of him. He can unleash a flurry, and I think he's probably going to win this by 30-27 decision. I think he's just going to outland Carpenter. He's going to keep him off of him, and it's going to be a fun, entertaining, unranked flyweight bout, and I can't wait. Great opener. Moving on to the next one, it's Jordan Santos versus Baysangur Susurkayev. Now, Baysangur Susurkayev looked pretty rough in his last matchup. I don't really think Jordan Santos has what it takes. I don't think he's the caliber of fighter that's going to fraud check someone like Baysangur Susurkayev, but I would not be surprised if Baysangur Susurkayev takes this to decision and doesn't get the knockout. But then again, Jordan Santos lost to Ozzy Diaz, so this is a hard fight in the sense that I don't know how Susurkayev is going to get it done. But I'm going to go with Susurkayev by KO. I think he's got what it takes. I don't think Jordan Santos is high enough level, and I think Susurkayev in 15 minutes will find that shot to put him away. So Susurkayev by KO. Moving on to the next fight, we have Pat Sabatini versus William Gomez. Pat Sabatini is really good. He's very underrated. People don't really respect him that much because he's not really that important in the grand scheme of things at featherweight. I mean, it's a very top-heavy division. But William Gomez, I don't know about this one for William Gomez. I think he's going up against someone that's going to take it to him. I think he's going to pressure him along the fence. I think he's going to get some takedowns, some classic American takedowns where you just pitter-patter shot, wrap the legs up, try to get to the back, doesn't work, ride him along the fence. So I'm going to have to go with Pat Sabatini by decision here. I don't think Gomez really can play the patient striking game, the point fighting game, and I don't think he has the knockout power to put out Pat Sabatini either. So I'm going to go with Pat Sabatini by unanimous decision. Moving on. This is a striker's delight. Roman Kopylov versus Marco Tulio. Marco Tulio's last fight, he got knocked out bad. But the fight before that, he had one of the most electrifying performances I've ever seen against Angelusa, I'm pretty sure. And Roman Kopylov is coming off of that bad loss to Cortes-Acosta, I believe. So, although Roman Kopylov has faced better competition, Fluffy Hernandez, Costa, did he fight Michel Pereira? Maybe, whatever. I think Marco Tulio definitely has the tools to get it done, because we saw in Roman Kopylov's last fight, he had a really tough time dealing with the body kicks and the head kicks of Costa, and while Marco Tulio doesn't have the pure power in the kicks that Costa does, he does have the ability to throw those kicks all night long, and I think he's really going to punish Kopylov in Kopylov's really patient kickboxing style, where he'll he'll kind of let the guy feel his way into the fight, and then Kopylov will sort of try to explode. And I think Tulio's not going to let that happen. I think he's going to build as the fight goes on. He's going to work that body kick all night long. I think he's going to beat up that lead leg. And he's got really slick hands too. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a KO, but I'm going to go with a decision for Marco Tulio. But yeah, this is going to be a really entertaining fight. Both of these guys are really slick kickboxers. Great matchmaking. Moving on to the prelims, we have Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon. I think Jim Miller's last fight was against Chase Hooper, which was a decision. But Jared Gordon's last fight was a bad KO. That being said, as much as we all love Jim Miller, I think he's so far over the hill now that his wins are going to be few and far between. And even though Jared Gordon is starting to look like he's past his prime, he's washed, I still think he's close enough to his peak that he's going to take it to Jim Miller. I think he's probably going to get this one done by stoppage. Sadly, I don't think Jim Miller has what it takes anymore. He's a really old guy. He's in his 40s. He's got the reach advantage, but I don't think it's going to play too much of a factor. I think Jared Gordon's going to just really not respect it. Sort of, not completely but I think it's going to be sort of similar to the Cub Swanson-Nate Landwehr fight, where in the beginning it was like they were cautious of each other, and then Cub Swanson decided, I'm done with this, and just rushed in and knocked him down in 3 separate occasions. So I could really see Jared Gordon doing something of that nature. And I don't think Jim Miller has the grappling pedigree. Well, he has the grappling pedigree, but I don't think he has the grappling advantage anymore because of his age. So I'm going to have to go with Jared Gordon by TKO. But I do hope that Jim Miller wins this. If he upsets Jared Gordon, I will be happy. Moving on to the next fight. The missing link, Grant Dawson. Unfortunately, he has just been created as the lamb to the slaughter here. Grant Dawson has a really bad time against power punchers. Manuel Torres and Bobby Green have both knocked him out. The only time he wins fights is when he can hold the guy down and throw inconsequential strikes. But Mateusz Rebecki, he's built like a brick shit house. He's going to take the fight right to Grant Dawson. I mean, in every single one of Rebecki's fights, it's a barn burner. Ferreira, Orlby, was it Ribovic? I could be mistaken. But all of these fights, he's just going. It's an all-out war. He has a great job at getting up from the bottom. He'll work his way to the fence, and he's just so powerful that he can sort of manhandle his way out without much technique. And then again, on the feet, it's night and day difference. Grant Dawson, even though he's a great fighter, on the ground, this guy is like a fish out of water on the feet. It's pretty bad. I think Rebecki's going to get this done by KO, flatline KO, pretty confidently. I don't think Grant Dawson can pull off the upset. So yeah, Mateusz Rebecki by KO. Moving on to the next fight. Now this is going to be a very entertaining fight. We have Yaroslav Amosov versus Joel Alvarez. Yaroslav Amosov got the win over Neil Magny in his last fight, and Joel Alvarez is coming off of the decision over, is it Vicente Luque? I think so. I think this is going to be a stand-up fight. I don't think there's going to be much ground involved, even though you look at the Amosov name and you really think, wow, this guy's going to, smudge grapple. I think Joel Alvarez has the tools to keep it on the feet. He's shown it in his last few fights. The only time we've really seen this guy get dominated is by Arman Tsarukyan. And I mean, no one's really blaming him for that. So I'm going to say Joel Alvarez keeps this on the feet, and when it's on the feet, I think Amosov can definitely keep it competitive, but Joel Alvarez is just going to outland him. I think it's going to be one of those fights where the story is really told by the output, and Yaroslav might have a few like big damaging moments where it's like, oh, Alvarez got hurt there, ooh, he got stung there, but it's just not going to be enough to outpoint the damage or outpoint the point fighting from Joel Alvarez, so to speak. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with Joel Alvarez by decision. I could also see Yaroslav shooting a sloppy takedown and Alvarez jumping a sub. He's got really slick subs off his back. But I'm pretty confidently going to pick Joel Alvarez. I think he's a better striker, and on the ground he has the submissions from his back that could nullify Amosov's grappling. Moving on to the next fight. Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz. It's getting to the point with the Gautier that I don't really want to watch him fight these guys anymore. I mean, when he was on that little 3-fight KO streak, and it was like, all right, when's the jump up in competition coming? Who's the next guy he's going to fight? Robert Valentin, Pelayev, Medina, and now Ozzy Diaz. I would really like to see him fight someone of a higher level, like someone in the realm of Rodolfo Vieira, to see how he does against a heavier grappler, even though Vieira isn't that much of a pure wrestler, so to speak. I would like to see how he does against Vieira's last opponent, Eric McConaughey. I think that would be a good stand-up fight. If Baisinger Susurkayev loses, I would like to see something like that. Give a Gautier a nice kickboxer. Now, I might be mistaken here, but I'm pretty sure Cesar Almeida is a middleweight. If not, then completely forget what I was saying. But if Cesar Almeida is a middleweight, that fight is perfect. A Gautier versus Michel Pereira. Perfect fight. All of these tests that we could give a Gautier to see, does he really has what it takes to just like go on this Ngannou level run? Because obviously the parallels to Ngannou are insane. I mean, African-born fighter, insane KO power, looks literally just like him. But we're giving him Ozzy Diaz. I mean, not one person has ever lost to Ozzy Diaz that was a real fighter. I couldn't tell you who Ozzy Diaz beat in his last fight. And you can say casual this, casual that. You don't know Ozzy Diaz. You know Ozzy Diaz from him losing. You don't know him from him winning. So yeah, this is a very obvious Gautier TKO win. He's going to crumple him against the cage. It's going to be bad. Here's a little crafty pick from me. I could see this going like the Steve Erceg versus Kai Kara France fight, where it's a big knockdown in the center of the octagon. Diaz fights his way back up because, I mean, he is a blockhead. The only reason he's still around is because he's got this ability to cockroach. But Gautier is going to follow him, and then he's going to put him against the fence, and he's going to knock him down, and Diaz is going to cover up, and Gautier is going to start pounding on him from the back, and the ref's just going to push him off, and it's going to be over. So something of that nature. That's my pick. Gautier by TKO in the first round. I'm that confident. Now let's move on to the main card. King Green versus Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens is coming off of that loss to Mason Jones, and the way Mason Jones has been looking, that's not a terrible loss for Jeremy Stephens. And King Green is coming off the win against El Huber, and people may be tempted to pick King Green because of that. Zellhuber isn't good. He lost to Michael Johnson right before that. I feel like people just forgot about that part. But even though I don't think King Green is that good, and even though I don't think King Green beat a very good fighter, Jeremy Stephens is unfortunately over the hill. The Mason Jones fight just showed he wasn't fast enough. He wasn't up to par with UFC level anymore. He's just around because he's a guy who will take short notice fights for the UFC. He'll be the company man. And King Green to that extent as well. So I'm going to have to go with King Green by KO. I think it's going to be a first round KO. I think it's going to be a beautiful overhand right from King Green where he ducks down and he just throws a heater and Jeremy Stephens goes out bad, like real bad. I think this is going to be King Green's highlight of all highlights. So, yeah, King Green by KO. It's going to be a fun Unk matchup, though. Great way to start off a card. Can I just talk about how beautiful this card is for a second? I mean, the UFC, besides that Ateba Gautier fight, really tried their hardest to create great matchups, and for that I'm appreciative of. Because as MMA fans, we always criticize the UFC, fairly so. I mean, look back at that Moicano card. But when they give us stuff like this, it reminds us why we are all fans of this stuff. But moving on to the next fight, one of my most anticipated fights on the card, Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm a fan of both of these guys. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. I'm a big fan of Sean Brady. His jiu-jitsu is sick. His wrestling is sick. Unfortunately, he ran into, I think, an actual alien in his last fight. Michael Morales isn't human. And he also has that really bad look of getting TKO'd by Bilal on the feet. And of course, after every fight, I was injured, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's injured. It's a fight. But Joaquin Buckley showed really bad takedown defense in his last fight. And you can say it's Usman. Yeah, but it's Usman with the knees of a 75-year-old woman who's in hospice care and is coming back down from middleweight, so the cut is harder. And this is going to be a rough one. Because if Joaquin Buckley keeps this on the feet, I think it's going to be no doubt a KO. I mean, Buckley's striking is sick. In that 5th round against Usman, he won that round. It was the only round he won in the fight. But if he's shown that if he can stay on the feet against anyone, even Wonderboy Thompson, he'll get the win. I think Sean Brady is in an unfortunate position. One part of that being he's unfortunately undersized. If there was a 165-pound division, I would not be surprised to see him be the champ of it. I mean, look at his weight. He's 169. And also, his striking isn't that great. He keeps his chin tucked, but he doesn't move his head. And as good as your defense can be, the second your chin doesn't move the center line, I think it's going to be just a bad matchup against Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley has heavy hands, great hooks. He's got really athletic kicks. We all remember the spinning back kick. So I'm going to have to pick Joaquin Buckley. I would like to believe that Sean Brady makes it to the horn, but I think with the way his chin looked in that last fight, and even though it is Michael Morales who has nuclear power, I think Buckley has similar, if not greater power, just based off of his frame, his athleticism. So I'm going to have to go with Joaquin Buckley by KO, unfortunately. Man, I've predicted a lot of finishes on this card. Maybe that's what they're going for with these matchups. So, moving on to the next fight, I'm done with Waldo Cortes-Acosta. And to a bigger extent, I'm done with the heavyweight division. I don't I don't like heavyweights. I don't think most people like heavyweights. That Hokit Blades fight, as fun as it was, does anyone really think those guys beat Aspinall? No. And now we have this blob, this absolute fat blob, just stinking it up. Yeah, bro, you knocked out Derek Lewis. Yeah, you and Tai Tuivasa. Good job, bro. Did people forget he fought Sergey Pavlovich? Cortes-Acosta fought Sergey Pavlovich and lost a boring decision, low output heavyweight fight on the feet. Alexander Volkov has all the tools to beat Acosta. He beat Pavlovich in a stand-up, boring, pitter-patter fight. He's going to do the same exact thing to Cortes-Acosta. He's going to keep range. He's going to beat up Acosta's little pencil legs, this fat blob. He's going to beat up the body with the teep kicks. He's going to keep him at the end of the jab. He's going to put him along the fence. He's going to ruin Acosta's night. We're not looking at a heavy pressure wrestler that's going to ruin Volkov's night and just grind him down. We're not looking at prime razor blades here. We're not looking at a JDS. We're not looking at a Cain Velasquez who has the ability to take you down and maul you. We're looking at a fat toothpick leg guy with a really strong right hand, and that's really it. I mean, I haven't seen anything that impressive from Waldo that warrants all the praise he gets. Everyone loves this guy for no reason. I would like to see Hokit beat the brakes off of him, despite what I think about Hokit. And I think Volkov is going to beat the brakes off of him, and I think it's going to be a boring fight. I think the fans in New Jersey are going to be pretty disappointed because the rest of this card looks amazing. And I think Volkov, not by any fault of his own, is going to stink this entire arena up because Cortes-Acosta has zero movement. He's just slow and ploddy and waits for the right hand. He doesn't move his head. He gets beat up. The only reason he's on this 3-fight win streak is because he fought Ante Delija, who was a hype job wow, he beat Marcin Tybura. Okay, cool. And then he beat Shamil Gaziev. We just saw last weekend why that's not that impressive. And who am I kidding? Shamil Gaziev lost to Rosenstreich in a 5-round main event by exhaustion. He quit on the stool. And then he beat Derek Lewis by, I think, did Derek Lewis take a fall in that fight? What was going on? He pulled guard? Pulled bottom mount? It just doesn't make sense to me. Alexander Volkov by decision. I'm not a big fan of Acosta. I hope he gets knocked out, but it's not likely. He's got a good chin, all things considered. Moving on, Tatsuro Taira versus Joshua Van. Now, I would be lying if I said this wasn't my most anticipated fight. Joshua Van is my favorite fighter in the UFC. He is so exciting, it doesn't make sense to me. The fact that someone can go that long, throwing that many punches without gassing out, is just appealing to me, and it should be appealing to everyone else. Of course, he lost a lot of favor with the fans because of the Pantoja fight, and I understand it to an extent. It's like, wow, you're celebrating that this guy broke his arm, you didn't have to fight him. But if you look at it in context, this guy's life just changed. He's going to be getting multi-$100,000 contracts now. He's going to be fighting in front of the biggest arenas. He's going to be getting the most press. So his life changed, and I can understand why people dislike it, but I also implore people to just use critical thinking for a second. But now on to the actual prediction itself. Tatsuro Taira has switched up his training camp. He's moved a lot of his core coaches, and he's went to Colorado to train with Gaethje and Sandhagen and Whitman and all those guys. And I think that's going to really pay dividends in the striking. But I don't know how much one training camp can really improve your head movement. because we still haven't seen improvement in Taira's head movement. It's really bad. His striking, it's just average striking. It's nothing to scoff at, and it's nothing to talk about either. It's just run of the mill striking. He's got a good straight right. His jab is staying out there. He's actually got a pretty nice low kick in his fight with Royval I was watching. I saw that was being used quite a bit. But besides that, his head movement is abysmal. He gets beat up to the body really badly. But the reason that he can get away with things like that is because of how good his grappling is. When Tatsuro Taira is in a flow state and he's grappling, it's like none other in the flyweight division. Maybe Pantoja, but I don't think Pantoja is as crisp. He's more of a marauder. He's a marauder. But you understand what I mean. Pantoja will muscle his way through takedowns and force his way to the back, while Taira will really masterfully sweep and hop onto the back. In the Royval fight, he had a really slick back take in round 2. It was a double, and he slammed him into the fence, and he just immediately flew behind, took that back, got on, and rode him out. It was beautiful. But then he runs into the problem of Joshua Van. And Joshua Van, we know he's not going to gas out. There's no world in which Joshua Van gasses out before Tatsuro Taira in this fight. It's just not possible. He's got really good takedown defense against the fence. That's what I'll say. A lot of people have been discrediting Van's takedown defense, even though it's some of the best in the UFC. I will give you guys that out in the open, he does have a harder time defending the takedowns, like everyone does. But against the fence, the way he gets up off the ground, the way he works up, the way he is always looking for damage. I mean, he'll break, and he'll hit the guy with a 3-piece combination, and he'll get into the clinch, and he'll frame off and hit him again and again and again. And it's really beautiful. It's like poetry in motion. Might be a little bit of glaze here, but I don't think I've seen anybody nullify grapplers better than Joshua Van. It's just so beautiful. But the thing with Joshua Van's grappling is we haven't really seen his jiu-jitsu tested that much. We've seen the way he deals with these wrestlers. He'll sprawl and brawl. He'll brawl and sprawl. Hey, channel namesake. He'll do that type of stuff. But if Taira can establish control, and if Taira can maybe go for an arm triangle, or if he can wait for Van to give up his back and he can go to that rear naked choke, we don't know how good Joshua Van's BJJ is. I will say, based off all the training I've seen from Joshua Van, I believe he can survive in those positions. But that isn't something we've seen Van tested that much in the grappling department. Yeah. Tatsuro Taira, if he doesn't get that, I think it's night-night. I think it's a short day at the office for Joshua Van. Because, again, Tatsuro Taira has no head movement, and Joshua Van has underrated power. People really discredit his power because of how many strikes he throws. But he showed in that Royval fight that he has pop. He was tagging Royval with that right hand all night long, and Royval's head was getting bounced back over and over and over. And then in that third and final round, he knocks him down to win the fight. I could see a situation where Tatsuro Taira does one of those crackhead rushes that he does, where he'll throw the right hand and he'll throw a jab out. It's like a Kamaru Usman rush, and Joshua Van has beautiful pull counters. I think he's gonna pull back. He's gonna hit him in the body. He's gonna hit him in the head, and he's just gonna tee off for multiple moments in this fight. And then when Joshua Van starts pressuring Taira on the feet, that's truly where it's like, all right, Van is running away with this. I don't think Taira can win this fight if he's backing up. He needs to be moving forward all the time. Meanwhile, Joshua Van can win this fight backing up. He can counter-strike. So that all that considered, I'm going to go with Joshua Van by TKO. And I'm going to go with Joshua Van by TKO in the 4th round. I think it's going to be just a war of attrition. I think it's going to be too much damage over time. And I think Taira is eventually just going to succumb to the damage. Like, think of the visual of Rory McDonald going down in that 5th round against Robbie Lawler. I don't think he's going to accumulate that much damage, but I do think that Joshua Van is just going to have Taira running around the octagon so much that he's going to get gassed out, and I could see Joshua Van winning this with a body shot. I'm not going to call a body shot, but just know if a body shot happens, I called it, and that's what happened. But yeah, Joshua Van, 4th round TKO. Can't wait to see it. Solidify your championship status. Let the haters know who is the flyweight champ. Moving on to the main event of the evening. Probably the most anticipated fight since McGregor versus Khabib. That might be insane to say. I mean, there was Volk Islam and Islam Charles, but I don't think we've really had a heated build-up like this since Khabib versus Conor. And, of course, the story of the fight week is going to be the press conference. Can we keep these guys away from each other? We don't want any problems outside the octagon. Chimaev runs deep with about 50 Chechenian guys, and Sean Strickland will probably walk around New Jersey alone with a pistol, and it could devolve. We could not see this fight. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. But strictly in an MMA format, this is a really hard fight to predict, just because of the problems we've seen in both of these guys' games. Chimaev, we all know Chimaev is a world-class grappler, a phenom, probably the best MMA grappler of all time. But we also know that Sean Strickland is, even though he is boring in moments, he's top 3 middleweight striker of all time. That's Izzy, Anderson Silva, Sean Strickland. That's the tier list. And Khamzat Chimaev, in his past, if he goes to deep waters, granted we didn't get to see that against DDP because DDP couldn't get back to the feet, Chimaev gets tagged in that Burns fight. He was having a brawl with Burns, and he was getting tagged, and he got knocked down. In the Usman fight, he got in those the later half of the second, and in the very end of the 3rd round, we were seeing Usman was hitting him with that jab over and over and over, and then that right hand would come right down the middle, and it would pop Chimaev back, and Chimaev would throw these lazy, uncoordinated hooks, and Usman would duck right under him and hit him right again. And I think Strickland could do that if he gets past the grappling of Chimaev. But again, the problem is, can you get past the grappling of Chimaev? And unfortunately, I don't think Sean Strickland can. Much has been said about his takedown defense. It's impressive. It's really good. But I think people are overinflating that because of the Fluffy fight, because of the DDP fight, when in fact, Sean Strickland does get taken down. It's just he does a really good job of getting back to the feet. Again, he has a style like Joshua Van where he'll immediately get a wall walk, he'll get up to the fence, he'll frame off, he'll dig his underhooks, and he'll get out of there. But against Khamzat Chimaev, you can't do that. you can't wrestle up. That's not how this works. He'll jump that Darce. We all know it. We saw it against Holland. We saw it 300 million times against DDP. So Strickland really needs to come in with a game plan of like protecting the neck while he gets up, because we know he can beat Khamzat on the feet if Khamzat doesn't have the threat of the takedown. But when Khamzat has that threat of the takedown, Sean's going to be a little bit more gun shy, and then he's going to get taken down, and Sean's going to try to wrestle up because he's, this macho man, and Khamzat's going to jump on that Darce, and I think he's going to either choke Sean Strickland out, or he's going to take advantage of that, and he's going to put Strickland on his stomach, he's going to take his back, and he's going to pound him out for the TKO, because Sean Strickland isn't the type of guy to get knocked out on the ground. I mean, one of the only times we've seen this guy get knocked out was by Alex Pereira. You literally can't hold that against Sean Strickland. That's just what happens if you go against Pereira. So, I think it's going to be much like a Habib, Michael Johnson performance, where it's just Khamzat nullifies the get-ups from Strickland by threatening the Darce or threatening an arm triangle, and he's just going to put a beating on Sean on the ground. If Sean makes it past those first 2 rounds, though, his chances of winning exponentially go up. Because I think, unlike DDP, if it goes to the later round, Sean Strickland still has the ability to get up, and he will not gas out. But it's just, Khamzat's too much. I think Khamzat's too much for everyone in the UFC. I don't think it's ridiculous to say he could go to heavyweight and make a run for the belt. And that may seem like an overzealous statement, but these higher weight classes are not as skilled. So light heavyweight, I think most people agree Khamzat wins the belt at light heavyweight. Heavyweight, we're not seeing any monster grapplers at heavyweight. I could see him literally becoming the second triple champ if Pereira gets it done, or the first if Pereira does not get it done. So, in this matchup of striking versus grappling, I'm going to have to pick grappling. I just think we've seen what Khamzat has done in 15 straight fights, and we've seen what Sean has done in his career, and I think it's just a better matchup overall for Khamzat Chimaev. Yeah, and that's my pick. Khamzat Chimaev by TKO. Let's run down this card one last time. Chimaev TKO, Van TKO, Volkov decision, Buckley KO, Green KO, Gautier KO, Alvarez decision, Rebecki KO, Gordon KO, Tulio decision, Sabatini decision, Suska KO, and Ochoa KO. I believe those were my picks. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.